Hi guys, welcome to Zenliveph, and for today's episode, we will be pruning by Polyscias Bonsai. To start with, I would like to show you first my tools in order to prune my plants. My first scissor is this one, and this is very thin. This is for the hard to reach area. This is the scissor that I use, the long one. And then for the medium thickness, this one. This is my go-to scissor that I use for most of my cuttings. Even for non-bonsai, I always use this one. Now for the thicker branches, I use this one. It's a much bigger blade. And for the last one, the concave one, this is for cleaning up any protruding wood to make a clean cut, because in order to make the branches smooth and looking natural, you have to remove any protruding wood. So the shape of this scissor is protruding. I don't know what this scissor is called, but you just have to look at this shape. And you can buy this online in Shopee. Anyway, let's start. We have a lot of plants to do, and I hope we get to finish it today. So the first bonsai that I will do is this plant called bulb, which I featured in my previous episode, and I haven't pruned it since. And by the way, I want you to buy one of these turntable. It is a good tool in pruning your bonsai because you could turn around and see different parts of your plant, so you don't have to move around when you're cutting your bonsai. So the first thing that I usually do is it is very noisy in this area. There's a lot of motorcycles and cars going around. There, it's gone. So the first thing I usually do is to remove all these suckers, because you have to show the branch in full view. Make sure that there are no suckers underneath your trunk. And then the next thing that I will do is to make the height of the bonsai more compact. So this bonsai got too tall already, and ideally I want it to be this tall only. So I will cut it here. It is drizzling outside. It is very hot, and at the same time it is drizzling. I hope it won't rain too hard. And then the next thing that I will do is to make the sizes of the leaves uniform. I will remove any leaves that are too big, because bonsai must have equally sized leaves, and they have to be small. So I will remove the small, the leaves that are too big. They need to look cute. Polyscias Bonsai is not usually used as a bonsai material because you cannot wire these plants. They are easy to break and they only grow upwards. So it is quite a challenge to make this as a bonsai for those who loves to wire their plants. Since I don't wire my plants, I'm using this as a material. The thing that most bonsai artists nowadays, the silhouette that they do looks all the same because they're trying to copy the Japanese silhouette. But with clip and grow method, you have to collaborate with the way the plants wants to grow because you cannot always control them. I noticed that most of my plants got smaller leaves now because of the constant pruning that I did in the past. After pruning, your plants usually looks ugly because you tend to remove most of the leaves. You need to defoliate them regularly in order to make the leaves smaller. Anyway, plants likes it when you regularly prune them. It's like having a haircut. And when they grow back, they become more stronger actually. When you don't prune your plants, some parts of the branches are weak because they tend to compete with one another. So later I'll be adding more soil because every time you put water, the soil tends to go out of the pot. So you have to add soil regularly to replace the old soil that was taken off. So the next one is this one. This plant is called 4D. I featured this in one of my episodes also. I will remove first these rocks. So the first thing to do is to remove the suckers here. Make sure that the trunk is visible and clear. See how small the leaves are? Normally they are big, but when you constantly prune them, they look so nice. I'm just making the canopy a lot rounder. This plant didn't grow a lot of leaves. Maybe I have pruned them before. I'm making a lot of mess. I put the rocks. Because this pot is too shallow, I don't use wire, I just put stones around the plant to make it more stable. My sister is so noisy. Can you hear her? She's so hyper. This one, I don't know if I've featured this plant before. It looks messy. So, remove the suckers first. I think this is the front area. This is the front. Then make it more compact. The height. Remove any branches that are intermingling. Then remove the leaves that are too big in size, so they would look uniform. Like this one, it's too big. It's like the plants are going to ROTC. You have to cut most of their hair. When you're pruning your plants, you're pruning them for the way they will look in the future. So sometimes after pruning they look ugly because there's no leaves yet. There's no leaves that was left. But I won't do it because a lot of the leaves now are tiny already. Some of my plants are having browning, yellowing. I don't know why. Maybe there are too many leaves. When there are too many leaves, some of the leaves tend to die back. I keep on moving, which is unnecessary because I just have to move this one. You could turn it around and remove all this, so you could reach this hard to reach area. You see there's a lot of infestations here, insects. Sometimes these insects are too hard to see. Normally plants react badly when they are being infested by insects. The colors tends to change. Sometimes they curl, sometimes they die off. This type of plant only grows upward. It grows vertically only, but the leaves tends to grow outward, but the branches, they stay vertically. This one next. This is a forest style plant. Wow, there's a lot to do in this one. It's too low. Okay, clear first the trunk area underneath. Remove all those suckers. Then make the tree compact. Reduce the height. After reducing the height, remove the leaves that are too big. There, then reduce the height. Then remove the big leaves. I'm just repeating myself. It's good that I repeat so you don't forget. Reduce the height. I usually have a tall tree, medium-sized tree, and a small tree. So it creates a balanced composition. Anyway, so this is enough. This is the next one. I don't know if I should remove this. Usually I want a 3-layered plant because the top one would represent heaven, this one earth, this is man, just like in a cabana. Anyway, let's try to stick with that composition. I will not remove the suckers. Sometimes you have to break the rules in order to create something new. Because if you're always following the rules, you're just creating something that's already been done. And that is no longer art. That is just a craft. You're like a machine. So try to break the rules sometimes. A lot of bonsais, they look the same because they're just repeating what's been done. What's important for me is the base of the trunk here. They have to be thick and that the leaves are very small so that the proportion is right, as well as the roots. You remove all the roots that are too fat. You have to make sure that the trunk is well visible. Try to just defoliate the tree. There. So this one is a fallen tree look and it's quite chaotic right now. It's messy. I'll remove all of these small suckers underneath. Although most plants in the forest, they do look messy, right? But anyway, let's just remove this so the tree would look clean and so that the new leaves has a new space to grow. The idea is to have a tree here. I will remove the leaves underneath this one to reveal the trunk so we can see more of the trunk. I'll remove the big leaves as well. Maybe I'll just cut it here to make it more compact. I'll reduce the size of this one also. I like it when the leaves becomes tiny. What I like about bonsai is that you could be creative with it and do something aside from watering and buying new plants. You could show your creativity with pruning or just defoliate some of these leaves. In Japan, they have this type of bonsai where you put a lot of scenery underneath. They would put figurines. I think it's called mansai. It's very interesting. Just remove these dead leaves here. There, it's clean. I think I've featured this before and I'd name it Angle, I think. I'm not too sure. Anyway, I'll have a heaven, earth, and man here. I'll just make it compact first. I'll be reducing the height and defoliate them. So this is the heaven part. Here is the earth part. When the leaves are too congested, insects tends to live on the small crevices, and the insects, you see a lot of insects living here, some mites. It's killing the plant actually. This is so dry already. Wish I could have a brush so I could remove all these insects. There's a lot of pests here. I'll just try to spray it with a pesticide later. It's a good thing that you look at the condition of the plant. If it looks unhealthy, then it's probably infested with pests. I thought it's just the watering, but it seems that it has a lot of pests and the wood is already rotting here. Anyway, next time I'll be more cautious of this. So there you have it. Heaven, earth, man. So here is our next one. Okay, let's remove all these suckers here. So there's nothing that the insects can hide in. Don't know why there's a lot of insects. They tend to rot the plant, and before you know it, that they're dead already. So I'll reduce the height to here. Then I'll just so it's that quick. I just need to defoliate this. There's a lot of spiders. I think it is the spiders that kills this plant. So many type of insects. Sometimes it's caterpillar, sometimes it's aphids, sometimes it's like mites. They look very strange. Anyway, this will make the plant healthier if you defoliate them from time to time. Bonsai tends to be thirsty all the time because they have a very small pot. So let's remove first the suckers underneath, then determine the size, the height, make it more compact. I'll cut it here. Then remove the big leaves. Try to defoliate them. The clip and grow method is fun. With this type of plant, thinking which branch is not very difficult, but for some plants like the ficus, you have to be more cautious as to what branch that you're going to cut. But with this case, I'm just cutting it to its ideal shape that I have in mind, because the branches of this plant only grows vertically. So there, I think this is good enough.